Alright, funny games. So before you go ahead and watch the movie, if you don't like subtitles, you don't speak German, don't watch the movie, because unless there's an English dub that I just didn't watch. Because I watched the original in its language. It did have subtitles, though. But, this movie, I keep seeing it in disturbing movies lists. And it's a pretty popular movie. But, I would say it's like Strangers Before Strangers, but set in Austria. It'll make sense once I talk more about it. But this movie is disturbing, kinda. It's not as disturbing as like Saw, Hostel, or the Terrifier franchise, but but it does have some pretty violent parts to it. But a low kill count, so I'll go detail everything in the review. So if spoilers ahead, especially for the ending. But let's let's get to it. So we follow a family, a couple and a kid. George, the dad, and the wife, and George Jr., the kid, but he's just called Georgie. So so they're going to their summer home in Austria. I think they're talking about Italy, so I think they're from Italy, but I don't know. But yeah, at the summer home, they have the dog. Forget the dog's name. It's not really important though. You'll soon see. But they do meet their neighbors and two people, Paul and Peter. They're basically the killers of the movie, the main bad guys. So so in George and Georgie are working on their boat, and Anne is making food, and then I think Paul, I think it's Paul that comes in and asks for eggs. So Anne gives him the eggs, and he drops them, and breaks them. So then she's getting more eggs, and she's getting a little irritable. And then Paul knocks their phone into the water, seemingly on accident, and she's not really happy about that. So she wraps the eggs up and gives it to Paul. And Paul and Peter come by, because the eggs broke again. And they're like yelling at each other. And Peter walks off because he has to deal with something. Because the dog is like doing what other dogs do, it's just bark. So in George and Georgie, they're working on the boat. All of a sudden, they hear the dog barking, and then whimpering, and then silence. You don't see it, but you do see the aftermath, kinda. So they run back to the house and see Paul, Peter, and Anne, arguing because of eggs. So this essentially started over eggs. So Peter likes he likes the golf clubs because George is a golfer, So he takes golf club and like slaps him. No, the George slaps him. So in retaliation, Peter breaks his leg with a golf club. Those must be some really sturdy golf clubs. So then he's like, so then they also start beating Georgie. So then so then Anne's there, like, of course, like, not happy about it. And Peter's like, I could help you. I'm like, I think he's like a doctor, he says. Like, he does bandage George's leg up, and they have a seat on the couch. Well, this is like, I'm pretty sure strangers. I don't know if it's confirmed, but feeling like it, I think strangers did take some inspiration from this. So yeah, they're talking, and then like a bunch of these shots drag on. So I'm gonna skip through like a lot of the movie. But yeah, so Peter Peter takes Anne outside to play a good game of hot and cold, and he winks at the camera like at least two times in the movie. So nice for a fall break. But Anne opens the door when she gets too hot, and then the dog's body just falls on the floor right by her feet. Like, wow. This movie really does not stray away from that. So then they're at the house, and Peter takes Georgie and puts a sack over his head. That's where that poster. That's what the poster is. Georgie with a sack over his head, more like a pillowcase. But they get Anne to strip. Does not show anything, but they get her to strip, and then they're like, they don't do anything like bad up to this point. So they make Anne put her clothes back on. Of course, there's still some fighting. And stuff like that. George's leg is like bleeding pretty badly at this point. But yeah, they keep like accidentally hitting his leg, and that's like pretty funny. But Georgie runs off, and Peter like follows after him, goes to a neighbor's house, and then and finds a dead body. So and then Peter takes him back, and he has a shotgun now, because Georgie grabbed the shotgun but didn't shoot Peter. I guess he was too scared to. But then Peter wants to go and make a sandwich or something. I think it's a sandwich. He wants to go make food, so he gives the gun to Paul. And I'm starting to think I might be mixing up their names, but I don't feel like double checking. So Peter's making food, and you hear some scuffling in the back, and you just hear a gunshot, and then Peter just takes the food, goes to Paul's like, "Why do you do that? It's not midnight yet," because like there's like a deadline or something. Before that, they revealed they're like drug addicts and they're doing this for like money. But yeah. So then they leave, and Anne is there. You know, she's tied up. just this goes on. This like no cuts for like 6 minutes. Yeah, I think I counted it like about 6 to 10 minutes. But you see Geordie's body, his head's like blown off. There's blood all over the wall, and Anne goes over and like cut cut cuts her tape off, and grabs a knife. Well, George, it just starts crying, yelling. So she frees George, but has to help him walk. She sets him on the chair, and was able to get the phone working, kinda. So he gives the phone. So she gives the phone to George. George tries to call a friend to call the police. Don't know why he didn't just call the police. But okay. So then Anne leaves to find some help. And she finds to like evangelize pastor, and she's like waiting for it. So then George just hears people going in, and it's Peter and Paul with Anne tied and gagged. So then they bring him to the living room, and it plays a little game. So Peter shoots George, and makes Anne pray, and Anne takes the gun, shoots Paul, and Peter is like scrambling for the remote, and literally rewinds time. So when Anne tries to take the gun, he just moves out of the way. So at this point, she's the last person of their family, and she's still tied up in the raincoat now, and they go out on the fishing boat. On their boat. It's not a fishing boat. It's just a boat you go around the lake. I've been on one. My uncle lives on a lake. He has one. But then they're like talking to each other, like calling her widow. They bring her up, like see her right next to them, and they mafia her. They have like rock tied to her and just throw her in the water, where she drowns. And the movie ends where they go to like their friend's house, and Paul asks for eggs, and that's where the movie ends. So this is a shorter review because it's an hour 40. It's an hour 40 minutes, but I think it could have been trimmed down. And should it? And is it disturbing? I'd say so. I mean, the gore effects with Georgie's death were pretty good, and don't think it's disturbing like a Terrifier or Serbian film way where it's just disgusting. You could say bloody disgusting. But it's more of a psychological game. I mean, psychological horror movie. So like Strangers. Yeah, there's no way that movie didn't take some inspiration from funny games. But so right now, out of the two movies I have, that's the least disturbing. Well, I'm done with this series, I'm gonna go rank them from least disturbing to most disturbing. But so far, Terrifier 3 is most disturbing. But I might rewatch Hostel, and that might change. But yeah, so Funny Games, give it a watch. 1997. I haven't watched the 2007 version. Yeah, there's a remake 10 years later. So that's like all I have to say about the movie. So like and subscribe, and get ready for some more disturbing movie reviews. And if you have any suggestions, leave them down in the comments below. I'll also go make a post, but don't suggest me stuff with like actual death. That's not fun to review. Unless you're Cold Raven. But yeah, so like and subscribe. I'll catch y'all later.